Hello. I am feeling like I'm ready to catch you all up on what has been my life for the past 2 years. The last time you actually got an update from me, I was going through some big life changes. And I would say the past 2 years of my life have been some sort of a crucifixion, have been some sort of a crucifixion. And I'm in my resurrection now. And my intention for this video is to update you on where I've been, what's been happening, reintroduce you to who I am, and I am looking forward to just seeing what flows. I have made some notes. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to take a sip of tea and let's get started. So, for the past 2 years of my life, after I gave birth to my daughter on the winter solstice in December of 2022, that changed the trajectory, changed who I am as a person. I feel like there was life before and life after. And my pregnancy was such a, I don't even know, like it really just, my intention for my pregnancy was to feel and viscerally know my power. And I got to have that experience full blown. Like I've never felt so connected to myself, to God, to my power, and so clear in what I was doing and so focused, so committed. And something that really has like transpired from being pregnant and being a mother now is these ideas of unwavering commitment and devotion, which I did not know I was actually being initiated into embody unwavering commitment and devotion because I have lived that every day of my life since I became pregnant with my daughter. However, after I gave birth to my daughter, it was a whole different, like, a whole different, like, initiation point 2.0, I guess. It was just like a dark night of the soul. It was like dark and heavy. And I was sitting in what I called a crucifixion, like, where everything that you needed to purify and everything that needed to be burnt, everything that needed to be healed came to the surface. Like all my trauma, all the darkness, all the pain, all like the history, just my greatest fear is like everything came to the surface after I birthed my daughter. And I think because I had such a powerful birth, I like popped myself open to access things I didn't have access to before because I lived in an unwavering commitment and devotion that it was like, well, this is what's here now to heal and apply that unwavering commitment and devotion. Like, let's really embody that unwavering commitment and devotion. So, oh, I don't even know where to begin. It was like trauma and like darkness and just so many things without going into the details of it. I feel like motherhood in of itself is an initiation. And the question that I always sat with before I became a mother, while I was still pregnant, was what kind of mother do I want to be? What does motherhood mean to me? Um, and how can becoming a mother give me more access to God, but also give me more access to myself? So, and it did all of that. Like, yeah, it totally did all of that. And I think to talk about it in this context might make more sense. So, I have always had this let's just say drawn. Let's just say drawn. I've always had this drawn to Yeshua. And when I was in the fourth grade, my best friend at the time was like a really devout Christian. And she gave me, um, I'm losing my words here. Like, mom brain is such a real thing. And like not having done anything like this in so long, my brain's like, what are we doing? Let me backtrack. So I've always had this drawn to Yeshua. And in the fourth grade, my best friend at the time, one day on the school bus, told me that she couldn't be friends with me anymore because I didn't believe in Jesus Christ, and that she wanted me to go to heaven with her, and handed me the Bible. And that was my first introduction to Yeshua in this lifetime. And I wasn't brought up with the Christian faith or in like Christianity as my religion. And I remember taking taking the Bible from her and being like, why doesn't he like me? He doesn't know me. This is 10-year-old Kajal. And I just, that was my first introduction to him. And I just felt a lot of confusion. And throughout the years, he kept popping up in my life. And I just was like, well, I don't know if I can have a relationship with you because this is not my religion. Like, I was born in a different religion, and it felt like I was like not allowed to like pursue that, or not allowed to, you know, like him or be drawn to him or to explore who he was or is. And it was not until 2014 I was introduced to A Course in Miracles that I had a very potent and very visceral experience of him. And there was a moment where I felt his presence and I was in clear communication with him, and it was him. And he told me something that only I needed to know at the time. And it was like this instant knowing of, I've known you my whole life. I've had awareness and an experience and a relationship with you, not just in this lifetime, but for many lifetimes. And it was a remembrance, basically. And I just like that was all what it was. And I knew I was drawn to him, and I've had a relationship with him. But after I went through my dark night of the soul experience, I really fell into a lot of darkness. Like, I cannot even put into words how incredibly dark my life has been for the past 2 years. And I have been the most anxious I've ever been. I have been the most afraid I've ever been. I've been the most depressed I've ever been. But at the same exact time, I've also been the most devoted I've ever been, and the most committed I have ever been to being the mother for my daughter that I wanted to be. So it was like this like paradox that I was walking. But internally, I was like, I'm dying. Like, something was shifting in me that I could not comprehend. And I think even right now, it's hard for me to articulate all of this. So I'm I'm gonna just let the words be what they are, and I'll let the embodiment be what the embodiment is here, because I think it's a matter of embodiment right now. It's not about trying to explain it and make it make sense. And so finally, like last fall, I had like a tipping point where I'd gone through many health issues and many health challenges in these past 2 years, and I was like, I'm so done. Like, what the heck is happening to my body? This makes no sense. And I remember I woke up one morning and something felt different. And I went for a walk, and I was listening to my like Christ consciousness playlist on my Spotify, and something just felt different. I felt the presence of Yeshua in my life again. And I was on this walk with my daughter in the stroller, and I was just bawling my eyes out all day in remembrance and in love. Like, it was like I was reintroduced to him again. And it was like this awareness of that relationship is actually a really important relationship in my life that I cannot just check out from, or I cannot just be like come and go from. It needed to be a relationship that I needed to have in my life. And it was like this reintroduction to him and what he meant for me. And it was really like a doorway opening from all the darkness I had been in the past 2 years. And it was like, it's time. It's time to come out of this darkness. It's time for your resurrection. Like, you've crucified yourself enough. Like, we get it. You can do it over and over again, spin in the circles, but it's time for the resurrection. And I would say that's when I went from crucifixion to resurrection, and really like a transmutation within me started happening. And I became aware of my connection to the Christ path, Christ consciousness, mystic Christianity, and just like this deep remembrance of, oh, yeah, this is my soul's lineage. Like, this is who my soul is. And I've never felt such a huge like opening within me of remembering who I am. And I I feel so different as a person that it's hard to articulate what happened. Um, and in that process, I started to deeply heal some of my greatest core wounding in this lifetime. The play of power and powerlessness has been like the path I've been walking on for all of my life. And it all made so much sense why it had to be that way. What being in my power is, what being in my power feels like. Like, it was just a deep initiation into powerlessness. I mean, it was a deep initiation into my power. And through that process, as I was shedding who I am not and stepping more into who I am, I just felt really drawn to go back to my birth name, because my birth name means flame burning brightly. And because I had been in so much darkness, like, I was like, oh, like, I am the light. There is no light outside that I'm looking for. Like, I am the light. The light has been there all along. It was like just distorted to look at the darkness. And it was a time of being in the darkness, being in the dark night of the soul. But like, I'm remembering the light again and remembering that I am light. My birth name just felt so like encapsulating of the person I was becoming and the person I always have been. So I felt really just like it was time to reclaim my birth name. And so now you see that this YouTube channel name has changed to sat.shikha. The reason I chose Sat in front of Shikha is because Sat means truth, it means eternal. So it was like, oh, okay, this just makes so much sense. And so that's the new name. I go by Shikha now, which is my birth name. And I've been rebirthed into Shikha, which is interesting because when I came to this planet, first day to be called Shikha, to then go through this journey as Kajal, and then to be rebirthed as Shikha. So that's why the name has changed. And that's where I have been. I feel like so like I feel ready to talk about it, but I don't have the words to talk about it with, if that makes sense. And I've put off making this video for so long because I'm just going to turn the camera on and then like, what am I going to say? And I'm having that moment of like, am I making any sense? um, and so as I am coming back into connection with my work, which I have not worked for 2 years, and it was an intentional and unintentional break. I feel like I needed to become who I am today, and it had to happen in a very like all in way, which is very much how I am as a person, like unwavering commitment and devotion to who I am here to be in the world. And now that I'm ready to like introduce myself back to my work feels so different. And how my work is going to unfold is very, very different as well. And I just am still in the process of uncovering what that is, but I do know. Like I do also know what that is. So, who am I today? And so who am I today? Today I am a mother, I am a mystic, I am a messenger. I am walking the path of unwavering commitment and devotion to everything that's important to me in life. I am going to now, through the form of video, share more experiences of my personal journey and all the wisdom that I have gained in these past 2 years and all the healing that has happened and everything else that wants to come through. And I'm going to leave it at that because that's all I have right now to share. If you want to join the journey and step inside to uncovering and remembering and please sign up for my newsletter, Step Inside, where I will be sharing a lot more there in writing. And these videos will serve more as a resource and a touch point for you. And the newsletters will be more of an actual personal email to you. You can also find me on Instagram at sat.shikha, and I'm going to leave it at that.